Hey up guys, I'm Mason, the blind wrestling fan. This is Wrestling in the Dark. Buckle up, try not to get whiplash, because we're about to review the 8th of September 2020 edition of NXT as quickly as possible. The show kicks off with the tiebreaker. It's Finn Balor versus Adam Cole for the NXT Championship. The match starts off with chain wrestling and they're pretty evenly matched. Fast forward, Balor manages to kick out of a Shining Wizard. A sling blade, double dropkick and a coup de grace, but Adam Cole kicks out. Balor returns the favour by kicking out of the last shot, and in the closing moments of the match, Balor manages to get the 1916 for the win to become a two-time NXT champion. This was a great match, I really enjoyed it, and it was rated E for entertaining. Next we get a couple of smaller segments. Rhea Ripley promises to show Mercedes Martinez in the steel cage tonight why she's called the Nightmare. Io Shirai and Shotzi Blackheart absolutely destroy Aaliyah and Robert Stone. In the Gargano household, Johnny's telling Candice that he's not happy that Teagan's coming for dinner tonight and tells her that it's not a good idea, but she tells him to trust her. Then Timothy Thatcher is watching tape of Damian Priest picking him apart, outlining all the ways that he can beat him. He says that life is not a party, it grinds you down until you quit. It's kinda like being in the ring with him. The next matchup is the Velveteen Dream versus some guy that I've never heard before called Adonis. Adonis hits Dream with a DDT, looks like he's going to get some offense in, but Dream thumbs him in the eye and gives him a Dream Valley driver. Then a fired up Kushida returns, lays a beat down on the Dream and applies a rope assisted armbar. Dream taps out, but obviously it's not a match, so it doesn't mean anything. Nice to see Kushida back, and I'm glad that they're playing up a nice, new, vicious side to him. In a hype package for Breezango vs Imperium, Breezango say that it took them years but they're finally at the top of the division. Imperium say that Breezango are nothing but a joke and NXT is about to witness the shortest reign in NXT Tag Team Championship history. Back to the Gargano household and Johnny's making dinner super awkward, so he excuses himself and takes his dinner upstairs. Candice and Teagan quickly start bickering. Teagan says that Candice has changed, that Johnny's changed her, but Candice denies this and says that it's how she's always been and Teagan just needs to start understanding the Gargano way. Back to the ring for Bronson Reed versus Austin Theory. Bronson batters Theory, giving him multiple pounces, throwing him around, and according to Wade Barrett, squeezing the blood right out of his soul. I wasn't aware that souls had a blood flow. Theory kicks out of the jagged edge. I wasn't aware what that was, so I actually really appreciate that Vic Joseph said that it was a Death Valley driver. In the end, Bronson is just too heavy for Theory to get the Austin Theory launch, and Bronson makes him pay for it, delivering a senton and a top rope splash for the win. This match was rated S for squash. Backstage, a pretty humble, definitely face-sounding Adam Cole says that Finn Balor was the better man tonight, but Balor better hope that Cole doesn't get another shot at the championship, because if he does, then the outcome will be very different. Mercedes Martinez says that Ria Ripley is bad, but not as bad as her, and tonight she's not going to stop until there's nothing left of Ria Ripley. In what was a fairly short but enjoyable match, Roderick Strong took on Killian Dane, with Undisputed Era at ringside, of course. Dane was constantly battling against the numbers game. He was trying to use his power. He hits a crossbody on Roderick Strong at some point, but the numbers game is just way too much for him. Undisputed Era just keep distracting him, and eventually Bobby Fish gets involved, which allows Roderick Strong to hit a running, jumping knee for the win. Afterwards, Undisputed Era attempt to beat down Dane, but Drake Maverick comes out to offer him some assistance. When Undisputed Era realise that they're gonna get their heads kicked in, they scurry off like the rats that they are. Then, Dane, being a brutal bastard, wipes out Drake Maverick and yells, "I'm not your friend," at him. We cut back to dinner with the Garganos and Teagan and Candice share a toast. Then Teagan does something which makes Candice really mad, and it all goes to hell. Johnny tells Teagan that she's a terrible human being and pretty much kicks her out of the house. 10 points to whoever tells me what the hell Teagan did to Candice, because I have no idea. Then we get Damian Priest talking trash about Timothy Thatcher. He says that Thatch is really ugly and that he's going to kick and punch him as many times as he can to rearrange his face, because let's face it, it can't get any worse. Then he invites the backstage interviewer to party with him, which is just creepy, but that's part of the course with Damian Priest in it. We arrive at the main event, a steel cage match between Rhea Ripley and Mercedes Martinez. Martinez is on a mission. She comes to the ring with a kendo stick. She starts putting weapons in the ring, but Rhea Ripley comes out of nowhere and the match begins. She slams Martinez into the cage multiple times. Eventually, Martinez manages to counter a riptide into a fisherman's suplex. Rhea climbs up the cage but gets slammed on a chair. Martinez hits a German suplex from the top rope. Rhea hits her own superplex at some point. Martinez hits a net breaker off the top rope, and in the end, Rhea Ripley gets a riptide and puts Mercedes Martinez through a table, and that picks up the win. This was actually a really enjoyable main event, made slightly less cool by the fact that they kept calling it the Battle of the Badasses. Yes, these two women are badasses, but you don't need to say it every 2 seconds. I love that they just hit loads of cool spots. They were going at it from second one, and it was just really, really enjoyable. It wasn't the best episode of NXT ever, but it also wasn't a bad episode whatsoever. Everything that happened, I actually really enjoyed. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with Finn Balor as champ. It was cool to see Kushida come back. I'm always happy to see Bronson Reed battering someone, and that main event was just awesome. If Cole is headed to the main roster, I'm really hoping that Roderick Strong can step up and be the leader of Undisputed Era. All in all, I'd give this a 4 out of 6. If you've enjoyed this episode, click that like button, let me know what you thought of this week's NXT in the comments section. If you want more news and reviews from the blind wrestling fan, then you better subscribe, hadn't you? Right, I'm off, and you should have a good one.